welcome to One Less Blade. In this video, you're going to follow along while I kitbash a character for my Grey Knights. First of all, sorry for how nasally I sound. It's allergy season, and I always have such trouble dealing with all the pollen in the air. Kitbashing is, if I'm honest, my absolute favorite part of the hobby. Painting's great, playing the game's great, but putting together a bunch of kits into something new and something that's unique and mine is far and away my favorite aspect of this. My Drago, for example. I think I took the body from, it's definitely the body from Voldus, a couple of Deathwing Knight parts, and the arm here is from, I want to say, yes, that was the Indomitus Captain. But this Drago doesn't look like anybody else's Drago in the world. He's my Drago, and it's special. It makes it so he stands out, and everybody can recognize him. My Chaplain right here, he is kitbashed from, let's see, he was one of the Space Marine heroes, Terminators, a Reaver head, obvious Grey Knight parts all across him. This is a Custodes, I think it's on the Vexilla? I think so, it's on one of their standards. And this right here is a little Night Hunt candelabra. And yeah, it made a really unique character. But kitbashing isn't just reserved for characters. I use it for a lot of my standard Grey Knights as well. This Purifier here, for example, in fact, all of my power-armored Grey Knights have Deathwatch legs, because the Deathwatch legs stand taller than other Marines, and I really don't like how short standard Grey Knights are. All it took was throwing the Deathwatch legs on this guy, and boom, he is a much more imposing figure, especially when standing alongside standard, like, human-sized people. Look how small this Grey Knight is. It's ridiculous. Any good conversion starts with inspiration. Whether you read something in a book that really excites you, or you just have an idea in your head, or you saw a movie or something, or pretty much inspiration can come from anywhere. For me, this time around, it was when this kit was released. I don't really play Space Marines, but I saw this banner here, and I was smitten with it. That is a gorgeous little plastic piece buried deep in there. And I wanted to make another Ancient. I already have an Ancient for my Grey Knights, but you know what? I don't have a Paladin Ancient, so I figure I can utilize this and turn him into a Paladin Ancient. So of course, that necessitated that I buy another box of Terminators. So I'm gonna open that up, and I'll show you what I'm planning on doing next. Now, it should go without saying that I'm going to be using a lot of Grey Knights bits, because I'm turning him into a Grey Knights Ancient, a Paladin Ancient. So, I have plenty of Grey Knights Terminator bits left in my bits box already, but I figured I could always use some more, and if I'm honest, as glorious as this kit is, I still contend that it is one of Games Workshop's best kits they've ever made. It does only come with 5 bodies and 5 sets of legs, and every Terminator kit I have, while I have plenty of arms and legs and heads left, I have used all of the bodies and heads so far. So I needed this anyway. In any case, the base of this dude is going to be a Terminator, and with the Grey Knights Terminator bits. You get the idea. So, knowing this kit really well, I already see where I'm going to have to start doing some tweaking and some converting, and things are going to be weird. You'll notice in here, the Paladin Ancient is holding the banner, the Grey Knights banner that comes in the kit, in his right hand, whereas the Primaris Ancient has the banner in his left hand. So when I open this up, we're going to see if I can just do a really easy sort of swap onto there and maybe carve the hand around, or you know what? Maybe I want to switch it up. Maybe I want to give my Grey Knight Terminator this exact pose. In fact, that sounds like a fun project. I'm going to try to replicate this with a Terminator as much as I can. Oh, sweet. This kit comes with 2 banners. I had no idea. I'm going to have to make some decisions, see which one I would like to use more. This one looks a lot like my other Paladin Ancients banner, and while it's red, I was really drawn by the, I know that's the Blade Guard symbol, but it could be utilized as an Inquisition sort of thing. I bet I could justify that. Plus it's got the flowing purity seals on it. I think I'm definitely going to go with this one. I like it a lot. Alright, the banner is clipped out and assembled, so I'm going to focus on the body of the Terminator for now. right off the bat, and because I've built so many of this kit, one thing that I noticed is that the Terminators, they have a very wide stance. They're older models, so they have that sort of like wide-legged classic Games Workshop stance, whereas the Primaris Ancient, who's holding this, is going to be standing taller. So dimension-wise, the Primaris Ancient is going to be appropriately sized to be standing next to this and holding it at about chest height, whereas the Terminator legs, they're going to come up a little short. It's actually ridiculous when you look at the size difference there. So, I think we're going to have to search through my bits box. Maybe I have some taller Terminator legs somewhere. Okay, so I've gone through my bits box and I've found a couple of options. First off, I have the remnants of a Dread Knight kit that I used for a conversion a while back. There are some tall standing legs in there. They're obviously positioned for the pilot, so they're a little wide. We could cut it down, draw the legs a little closer, and I think it would fit fine. But the problem here, it's not really any taller than the standard legs, so I don't think there's a whole lot that would do for me. In fact, I don't like that option. I'm gonna toss it aside. Second, I have some very nice Terminator legs from the Deathwing Knights kit. I can shave off a little bit of this iconography here, and I think it would work out really well. If I compare it to the Primaris legs, the waist almost rises just as high, actually. It's not quite the same spots, but it's pretty close. And maybe with a little bit of green stuff or some cardstock, we can make that stand out. The third option that I found is this Primaris Blade Guard Primaris Blade Guard Lieutenant. No, Primaris Lieutenant with whatever they call him. The Primaris Lieutenant with the Blade Guard weapons. I found his sort of torso and legs there, and he's obviously Primaris height, and he looks really rad. And I think I can utilize this to get a Terminator cuirass on the front there and actually make it work out pretty well. And you know what? This sounds like the more challenging project and more interesting. I do like the Deathwing legs because they, honestly, recommendation to all Grey Knights players out there, go and buy yourself one box of the Deathwing Knights kit. There are so many good bits in here for conversions. I've used so many pieces from it. Akoziel's Soulglaive came from this kit. A lot of my characters have Deathwing Knights bits all over them. It's fantastic. Strongly recommend buying this kit. But for now, I'm kind of liking this idea. It would give my Ancient a little bit of height and a little bit more presence, I think, if he has these sort of more modern looking legs. Let's try this out. All right, I've gone ahead and cut out one of the Terminator cuirasses, just the front part of it. I don't need the back because he already has a back on there. I've chosen this one for a couple of reasons. One, I always really like painting the little books on the front there. And two, he's got the little purity seals hanging in front there, so it might make it so that the, let's say the seams between that model and this model might be a little bit more hidden. The next step, though, is sort of ghost lining this up and cutting out all this in the middle so that I can, whoops, that went off into the room somewhere, so that I can properly dry fit this in and see exactly where I need to fill parts to it. So I kind of want to line the gorget up so the head will slot in there, and whoop, there's a big gap down below. I don't know if you can see that from my terrible lighting, but there's a big gap in the middle there, which is okay. It just means we need to find something to fill the middle there. So I thought that maybe we can just use this little bit from the Primaris Lieutenant, just his midsection here. But that presents the problem in that, well, we need to cut that free. And also there's this big old bolt pistol holster on there, which Grey Knights don't have bolt pistols. So, I gotta think about that. That might be too much work to cut that down, but it's worth trying. Let's figure it out. After doing some carving there, actually, this fits on there really nice. I kind of really like how that looks if I'm just dry fitting it, but I do have the problem of this big giant bolt pistol holster, which I don't think there's anything I can do about that. So, as interesting as that looks, I don't think I can utilize it. So I'm going through my bits box and I'm trying to find something that can fill this gap between where the top of the cuirass will be and like the little area where the tabard hangs down there. I'm trying to find something that fills that gap. And the more I look at that, the more I'm seeing other things I'll have to do with this bit, such as finding something to cover this gap here, because obviously the cuirass isn't going to cover that. Also, the lack of the Terminator sort of like power plant that normally sits on the backs of Terminators. Here's an example here, that big old blocky piece on there. It's going to look a little out of place on this guy here, especially, like, it's going to be very evident looking from behind that he is not a Terminator. I'm not going to put a power pack on because for me, when I am doing conversions, it's important that I remain as true as possible to the mini that I want it to be and representing very clearly. So since he's a Terminator, I want him to look like a Terminator. I could, in theory, chop all this off, just use those legs. I still have to figure out what to do with that gap though, and find a little bump to cover there. You know what, I'm gonna mess around with that idea for a second. So our friend, the Primaris Lieutenant, has once again sacrificed some bits for us, and I have taken the pauldrons off of him, snipped him down a little bit and put it on there. The idea being that hopefully the Grey Knight's cuirass just fits right on top of it, and it's a little bit of height. Whoop, it's probably a little too tall there. Yeah, that might be a little much. Okay, did some filing, and that looks a lot better. I'm a lot happier with that. And you know what? We're gonna move forward with it like this. So I'm gonna paste that on there, and we'll move from there. All glued together, and now I'm just gonna clean up all this stuff around here. Primarily, I need to fill this right there with, I might try to cut the little panel off of the Primaris guy and see if I can glue it on there. Then I need to figure out something about his dick hole. I just found this bit in my bits box. I think it's from the Venerable Dreadnought kit, if I recall. But this might be exactly what we need. Okay, it's kind of silly. I bent it a little bit to make it seem like it like wraps around the belt, but honestly, I'm gonna let that dry, maybe bend it a bit more over it, and I think that once that's painted, that'll look really cool. It'll match with these two pieces right here to kind of add like a, I don't know, maybe some sort of like armor plate sort of feeling to it. We're gonna cover up this little hole back here with some grenades. Boop. Look at that, perfect. Lovely. Okay, so now that we've got here, we can go into the fun part, which is figuring out the arms. I always like doing the arms. So I went to the Grey Knight's Terminator box one more time for the arm here, and I had a couple of options. I was thinking of having the arm that's sticking straight out, but ended up choosing an arm that's kind of sticking up at an angle like that. I've noticed that the banner is still much taller than him at the like connection point there, so it's draping below his foot a bit. And the reason for that, I checked out the art, and lo and behold, the Primaris Ancient is standing on a rock. He's also a little taller, but like all modern GW characters, he is standing on a rock, which is fine. That just means that I'm going to place my Terminator here on a rock as well when he's on his base, but for now, I've got exactly where I want that hand to line up on the arm there, so I'm going to attach that and be right back. So while that glue is drying, because plastic glue needs to dry and takes a minute, I went ahead and cut out the other bits that I'll need, at least the immediate ones that I know. For example, the shoulder pads. I went ahead with this design, this is a bit just for Grey Knights folks in particular. I went ahead with this design because it's, I didn't want to use the shoulder pads with the encrunches on them. Or the shields, the heraldry, that's the word for it, like up here. In my Brotherhood particularly, everybody has the same heraldry, which is kind of deviant from normal Grey Knight stuff. But because he's going to be a Paladin Ancient, I figure this little scroll here can be a bit more agnostic, and I don't have to draw what I consider, I know it's not actually lore accurate, but what I consider the 7th Brotherhood's symbol on there. So this way, it can be very neutral. I also went ahead and trimmed his Stormbolter out, So I'm ready to put that on there. Drilled little holes in there with my pin vise drill, pachow, in order to make sure that that looks not terrible. And here's a note for Grey Knights players. I made sure I grabbed a Paladin helmet because there is a distinction between the Paladin and the Terminator helmet. The Terminator helmet is the one that has the little like pointy, like pug face kind of thing to it. The Paladins are the ones that have the like larger face grill like this. The distinction is small, but it's important just to make sure they look like Paladins rather than Terminators. Nothing annoys me more than seeing Grey Knights players take a Terminator with the Terminator helmet and then run it as a Paladin, or vice versa. All right, this is dry. For the most part, still fragile, so I'm gentle. But now we're ready to throw another arm on there. From there, I just threw on his weapons and the head and the shoulder pads and the Stormbolter over here. Stormbolter also, because it's touching the flag, gave me a nice little anchor point so that the flag can be a bit sturdier. And yeah, aside from I think maybe a few purity seals and putting him on some corkboard so that he can rise above his flag a little bit, I think he's done. And I really like how he looks. I'm excited to get this guy painted up. Yeah, I hope that this kind of gave you an idea. Everybody's always asking me for videos on how I kitbash my characters. And it's pretty seat in my pants, just to be honest about it. But yeah, that's from start to finish. That's how I do it. Make a guy, I think I'll paint him up and run him in a game soon. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. If so, give me a like and a comment and all that stuff. Love that sort of engagement. Love chatting with folks. I try to respond to every comment that happens, but I don't get to all of them. In any case, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week with something different.